Hello players, welcome back. I am your tech jester Buzzstringer. Ooh, I've walked past my spot. Let's go back. I am the internet's least necessary upgrade. So come on in, take a seat, take off your pants. If you're from California, please show me every form of ID you have before you're allowed to watch the show. Yes, this week in tech news, California, the state that gave us a summer of love and now spends its summers on fire, has identified the single greatest threat facing the human race. And it's not the wildfires, not the rent. No, this crisis is that your operating system doesn't know your birthday. California has been working on the Digital Assurance Act, which sounds like a dystopian shampoo brand. Digital Age Assurance is for when your operating system needs to know whether you're old enough to see nipples, gambling apps, or whatever the hell pops up later in this video. The original idea was to move age verification down to the operating system level so that instead of every website and app asking, are you old enough to look at this cursed nonsense, your device would ask during setup and then send an age bracket to apps and the app stores. So when you set up your computer, it wouldn't just ask for your language, keyboard layout, time zone, and whether you want to sell your soul to OneDrive. It would also be like, hello valued citizen, are you under 13, 13 to 15, 16 to 18, or old enough to legally watch a man do weird stuff on YouTube with bisexual lighting? And this caused an immediate, massive, obvious problem. Linux, because Linux is not Apple, it's not Android, well, it sort of is Android, but Linux is not one company in a glass spaceship deciding whether your nipples are compatible with the App Store. Linux is a glorious chaos puddle of distributions, volunteers, forks, forums, half-finished documentations, one guy named Dave maintaining a driver from 2007, and arch users who just enjoy pain. Trying to make Linux centrally verify age is like trying to put a seatbelt on soup. It's technically possible in a sentence to use those words, but in reality, what the fuck are we doing? Most Linux distros are not built like giant commercial platforms. Some don't even have user accounts in the normal corporate sense. Some are maintained by volunteers who are paid in bug reports, caffeine, and the raw sexual thrill of telling someone to read the manual. California apparently did realize that forcing open source operating systems to become age verification platforms might be a little bit like asking Linus not to get triggered when someone mentions Billet Labs. I look forward to your comments. So now the same lawmaker who shat this law into existence, an assembly member named Buffy Wicks, has come riding back in a shiny new amendment to fix it. To exempt open source from her own law. This is a woman who set her kitchen on fire and is now being applauded for heroically discovering a fire extinguisher. What a save. Okay, so let's step back a bit. There's an amendment that would exempt operating systems and applications distributed under licenses that let users copy, redistribute, and modify the software. So in normal words, it means if the software is properly open source, it probably gets to escape the digital nightclub bouncer. So that's Debian, Fedora, Ubuntu, Arch, Mint, they're all probably fine. Tux can put his tiny little penguin ID back in his tiny little penguin wallet. But SteamOS might still be in the splash zone. It's Linux based, sure, but it comes tied to Valve's Steam's ecosystem, storefront, and client. So now SteamOS is standing at a legal party wearing a hoodie over a business suit going, technically I'm open source-ish, but also buy 6 copies of Skyrim. This is where lawmakers hit the same wall that everyone in tech hits eventually. The internet is not one thing. It's a haunted shopping centre built on top of a library, a casino, a porn theatre, a war crime, and a group chat that your mum should never see. And every time the government tries to fix it with one big simple rule, they discover that the plumbing goes through 12 countries, 3 app stores, and an open source repo, and a Raspberry Pi in a shed running something called Horny Doorbell OS. I don't run that. So California may be backing away from the Linux part, which is good, but the whole thing still shows us where we're going. Operating systems becoming permission machines, and now it might also become the official judge of whether you're old enough to use the internet like a degenerate adult. And I want to keep using the internet like a degenerate adult. Yeah, you should always have the right to watch nonsense like this video anonymously, and that shouldn't be controversial. But this next one is controversial. Riot Games updated Vanguard, their anti-cheat system, and reportedly turned some expensive cheating rigs into very expensive desk ornaments. We're talking DMA cheating hardware, which is direct memory access devices. Now, these are pieces of hardware that can read and write directly to memory, which is useful for legitimate professionals like developers or debuggers, searchers, security researchers, and that kind of thing. But it can also be used for cheating in games. There's a game called Valorant. It's free, it costs $0, and you can download it right now with the exact amount of money that you have. And in this free game there are cheaters. There's always cheaters. Wherever there's a leaderboard, there's a 19-year-old prepared to remortgage his soul to be marginally better than strangers he will die without ever meeting. Valorant's anti-cheat, Vanguard, lives down in the kernel level of your PC, in the deepest, most sacred basement of your operating system, watching everything like a divorced dad parked outside a Wendy's with binoculars. If you install cheat software, it gets flagged before you finish blinking. So what do the cheater geniuses do? They went for hardware. They built a rig around a DMA card. To do it, you need two computers, a second PC just to run the cheat, and then you flash the DMA card with custom firmware to disguise it. So you slap a little fake mustache on your thing and it thinks it's a harmless hard drive or something like that. And then to make the cheat actually move the mouse, you add a thing called a KM box, which then fakes the physical hand movements inputs into the game, so it thinks it's a real human doing it. Riot's head of anti-cheat posted a photo of one of these setups, and it does look like a pipe bomb. It looks like the thing that the FBI sniper is briefed on before the door comes off. Two PCs, a nest of cables, and a mustachioed memory card. Oh, and a robot hand pretending to be alive. I mean, at that point, are you even playing the game, or are you just operating a small fraudulent data center with RGB lighting? But the total cost for this thing is around $6,000. $6 grand. You could have bought a used car, flown to Thailand for a month, or paid for a professional therapist to ask why being slightly worse at a free game feels like dying. But no, build a Frankenstein server farm so a digital character can click heads at 4 milliseconds faster. All of this so a stranger called Sniper Daddy 420 believes you have natural talent. But then Riot dropped the hammer. A Vanguard update came down and just bricked it. It killed the whole rig so it wouldn't boot without doing a full operating system reinstall just to get it up and running again. Now, $6,000 worth of cheating hardware converted instantly into a very expensive, very embarrassing space heater. And Riot did not take the high road, something I respect. Riot logged on and tweeted word for word, "Congrats to the owners of a brand new $6,000 paperweight." Ice cold. That's the official company account leaning over the body going, "Are you smelling that? That's bankruptcy and humiliation." And they did it all free. But there is a real debate here. Some people, myself included, are uneasy that Vanguard runs at the kernel level, the deepest access to the machine. You know, you can call it like borderline malware if you really want to, because to stop a teenager from aimbotting, you've installed software that can theoretically watch everything. It's like hiring a bodyguard that also reads your diary and watches you shower and has memorized your search history. He's protecting you, but he's also seen things. He will never speak of them, but he knows. Cheating in an online game is of course bad, but the hardware used was specifically designed to only cheat in Valorant. And Riot have posted up follow-up statements saying that they do not damage normal hardware, and only devices specifically designed to cheat in Valorant were affected. So they clarified that they wasn't joking about bricking PCs, but joking about how a $6,000 Valorant cheat engine is now worthless, which I think is fine. Riot's full statement is a bit waffly, but it is linked below if you want to read that one. Next is Reddit, the website where faceless men argue about lightsabers. I love Reddit, but Reddit would now like you to show your face, which is a bad idea. A catastrophically bad idea. Reddit is turning on video replies in comments because apparently text, images, GIFs, awards, avatars, custom feeds, ads disguised as posts, and the haunted smell of unpaid moderation, they weren't enough. Now Reddit wants you to reply with a video. It starts in public safe for work communities. Mods can turn it on, restrict it, turn it off, but on the 11th of June it rolls out to all users in public safe for work subreddits, and it's on by default unless the mods change the settings. On by default, 3 words that have caused more moderator trauma than we updated AutoMod. Safe for work Reddit video replies. That phrase is doing so much heavy lifting it should be sponsored by protein powder. Because you know what happens when you let internet users reply with video? You get 3 useful tutorials, 1 sincere AMA response, and then inevitably someone uploads their balls. That someone may or may not be me. But here's what nobody under 30 remembers, and everyone over 30 has tried very hard to repress. We ran this experiment. YouTube ran it. Back in the dark ages, around 2012, YouTube let you reply to a video with a video. That sounds wholesome, but it birthed a plague spoken of only in whispers. The reply girls. For the youth, reply girls would post a video reply to whatever the biggest trending video of the day was. The content of the reply was kind of irrelevant and kind of non-existent. It could have been them reading a phone bill. But the thumbnail was strategically zoomed in, fully deployed cleavage shots. So, surgically positioned at the top of the trending videos to harvest a tidal wave of clicks from teenage boys with the impulse control of a Labrador and a sausage factory. But it works so well, so fast, and so shamelessly that YouTube had to drag the entire feature into a field and put 2 shots in the back of its head. The video responses were declared legally dead by 2013. A whole feature euthanized by horniness in under a year. So now Reddit stood there in 2026 holding the exact same loaded gun going, what if we did video replies? Dude, we have the coroner's report. The reply girls are a documented historical catastrophe. Like the Hindenburg. Except the only thing that went down was probably the reply girls. You bolt video replies onto Reddit and within 48 hours every single video will have someone's chest going, ooh, so true OP. Light the candles, the reply girls are coming home and they're coming to the comment section. Type your replies. Type them. I'm begging, please. Speaking of things dying, Nvidia, sweet, flammable Nvidia. The company whose graphics cards now moonlight as indoor barbecues. This week they killed something else, the classic Nvidia Control Panel, dead after 20 years. For the uninitiated, the Nvidia Control Panel was the menu that you reached by right-clicking your desktop and then waiting, and waiting a bit more. Watching a piece of software load with the speed and grace of a glacier passing a kidney stone. It was old, it was ugly. It looked like a Windows XP menu that had given up on its dreams and started drinking. But by God, it worked. It was reliable. It was a Toyota Corolla of settings panels. Boring, slow, ran forever, and never once let you down. Never once asked you to log in. It survived Windows Vista, Windows 8, crypto mining, SLI, G-Sync, 3D Vision, the death of 3D Vision, drivers that fixed one game but broke 4 others. It gave us everything. But everything has to be an app now. Settings can't just be settings. They need a dashboard, a login, a homepage, a newsfeed, a promotion, an overlay, a notification, a little profile icon that you never asked for, and a terms of service update that reads like a ransom note from a law firm. To be fair, the new app is actually better. It does more and looks like it was designed in this decade rather than excavated from one. And if you truly need the old control panel for some cursed legacy reason, it doesn't get deleted unless you do a clean install. But it's frozen in maintenance mode, so there's no new features, no fixes, and no future. It's in a hospice now. We just visit, we hold its hand. We lie and tell it the GPUs are still melting exactly like they were in the good old days. So RTX Pro users get to keep it for a little bit longer. Professionals can't have their tools ripped away mid-render, but for the rest of us, 20 years of right-click and pray is over. So farewell, Nvidia Control Panel. You were not beautiful, you were not fast, you were not intuitive, but neither am I, and I'm still here somehow. You know something? I think I'm starting to fall in love with the Netherlands. And I know you're all still here waiting for the happy ending. So here it is. Over in the Netherlands, the land of bicycles, legal vices, and a horizon so aggressively flat that it's basically a wallpaper, there's an app called DigiD, or DigiD? DigiD. It's not a fun app, but it is the most important app in the entire country. The National Digital ID. Roughly 17 million Dutch people use it for everything. So that's taxes, healthcare, records, benefits, pensions, changing your address, booking a bin collection, or a trash collection if you're in that part of the world. It's the master key to your whole bureaucratic existence. If DigiD goes down, the Netherlands stops being a country and becomes a confused crowd of extremely tall people standing politely in the rain. I think I've worked out the name now. DigiD, I think is what it's called. That's what I'm going to say from here on out. But DigiD doesn't run itself. It runs on servers of a Dutch cloud company called Sovereignty. And a big American IT giant called Kyndryl went, you know what we'd absolutely love to own? The Dutch company holding the digital soul of 17 million human beings. And they made an offer, and the deal was clearing. It was actually going to go through. And the Dutch people, the journalists, the privacy zealots, the tech experts collectively rose up and said, absolutely the fuck not. Because here's the nightmare. There's a US law called the Cloud Act and a friend of this called FISA. And what that roughly means is that if an American company holds your data, the US government can walk in and demand it. As one Dutch tech expert put it perfectly, if the boss of Kyndryl gets a letter from the US government ordering him to hand over the data, he has to obey. His only alternative is prison, and that's it. That's the entire deal. Give us the personal files of every Dutch citizen or go to jail. So the entire identity of a nation was about to hinge on an American official asked for it, sort of nicely. And for once, a government looked at this and they did the right thing. The State Secretary for the Digital Economy, William Ertz, name's on the screen, I apologise, dropped a full and complete prohibition on the deal. Blocked, killed. He said it poses a risk to the public interest. So hands off our DigiD. Yeah, a government that cares. That must be nice. I wish ours would grow a pair and tell Plantair to plant their lips on my derriere. And Kyndryl, the jilted buyer, released a statement saying that they were extremely disappointed and that politicization has ruined all the wonderful benefits this deal would have brought Dutch citizens. Ah yes, the benefits to the citizens. My God, the citizens are the ones who organised a coalition and sued to keep you away from their tax returns. The benefit they wanted was your absence. When the people you're helping form a legal task force specifically to keep you out of the room, that's a pretty big sign that you might be the bad guys. And here's the bigger thing that's humming underneath. Europe is quietly, steadily backing away from American tech. They call it digital sovereignty. And the wild lunatic notion that maybe a nation's most sensitive data shouldn't live on a server that answers to a different country's subpoenas. And the Dutch just planted a flag in the ground. A privacy group over there called it a possible turning point in history. And honestly, for a show like this that spends 90% of its runtime watching companies cram cameras into your eyeballs, your toaster, your incognito tabs, watching one small flat country stand up and go, no, this is ours. It's so unexpectedly moving that I might actually weep when I turn the camera off. Weep into my non-age verified operating system from a country that would sell my entire medical history for a marginally cheaper meal deal. Okay, that's the show. Did we have fun along the way? I did. We used the like button as a laugh button. Hit that if you laughed. Most of my other videos are very similar to this one, so you can check those out if you like this one. If you didn't like this one, I wouldn't recommend checking those out because they're very similar to this one. If you made it this far, comment with Nether in my Netherlands. Yeah. Okay, smash one of the buttons. The subscribe one's a great one. It's free. And unlike your operating system, it won't ask for your birth certificate. Okay, stay sexy and be excellent to each other. Did you know that in Sweden, over half of all car accidents involve a moose? I say don't let them drive.